What's up, boys? What's up? Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the 6th update, I believe, on the tier list. Every Sunday at 2 o'clock Central European Summer Time, we talk about it all live on stream, discuss every single spec class in the game, talk about what looks good, what looks bad, what has changed, and what has to be changed for them to be good. Thank you for coming, and let's have a good day together. Alright, so before we begin, once again, you guys have already seen what's happening today. There are a few tiers that were not present last week. There's a tier called Bad. I believe everybody knows why there's a tier called Bad, because there's only one spec in the Bad tier, and there's a tier called Bugged right now, hotfix, hopefully soon. Now, for the Bugged right now hotfix, unfortunately for you, it is not Retribution Paladin. That is not the case. There are two specs right now there. I will speak about that later on. And, you know, I will tell you why exactly. We have an OK Ramos, which pretty much means that, you know, they're in OK tier. Why they are there, we're going to talk about that later on. And then we have a Good Choice, which is pretty much like a B+ tier, I would say. And then we have Impressive, which is kind of A tier. And then Best Candidates are pretty much getting close to S tier. Top tier pretty much means like you are right now insane. You are the pinnacle of performance, in that case in Mythic Plus. Again, anything I say is a subjective opinion. Things will likely change until the beginning of the season, which means until the middle of September. There should be changes every single week. Anyway, let's talk, because it's been enough of an intro. You guys already know what's up. It is time to get fucking sweaty and hot takes to come in. Alright, chat. First thing first. Who the heck is on the bottom of the tiers, chat? Let's see. There's only one spec that deserves to be truly on the bottom. One spec, chat. Which one would it be? Let's see if you guys can guess it. There is only one spec dead on the bottom, sitting down the drain, waiting and asking, begging for more buffs from Blizzard. The spec is a ranged specialization. It is a ranged specialization right now. It is not a melee. It is not a melee. And you know what? It's actually not even a BM Hunter. Are you guys ready? You guys ready for the biggest cook take incoming? Alright. Bottom of the bottom. It's gonna be Fire Mage. Fire Mage. And I'm gonna explain why Fire Mage is at the bottom of the pit. Although the rotation of Fire Mage has been fantastic so far. Yes, it's fun to play. Yes, they're pretty tanky. Yes, they have a good utility. Fire Mage performance for the past couple of weeks after the huge nerfs has been dreadful. Their performance have been quite astonishing, I'll be honest with you. It is literally comparing to the tank right now, you know. Both, I guess the AoE is slightly better than a single target, but both aspects of Fire Mage right now are lacking. What could they do to fix it? Roll buffs right now. That is the only thing. I believe they nerfed Fire Mage 3 times in a row, especially talking about Living Bomb, and got beat down to the ground pretty much. But just remember this. Just because your spec right now is not performing up there, doesn't mean next week it's not gonna be up, you know. So Fire Mage is one of the specs that has everything else except damage. If they were to like buff Fire Mage like damage wise, depending on the I guess the quantity of the buffs, this can go, for example, higher. So it would really depend, for example, how much of a buffs Fire will get, because if Fire doesn't get any buffs, I'm gonna be extremely surprised. So first thing is gonna be Destrolock. The reason why Destrolock is gonna be here is, obviously, if you guys already don't know, Diabolist does not work with Destrolock. Diabolist is their main hero talent tree, which was extremely buffed a couple of weeks ago, and this week it does not work at all. Like, majority of that tree is currently bugged, and we don't know until when they're actually gonna, you know, fix that. We don't know anything. We have no blue post. We have nothing going on. And remember, there's 12 days until the expansion comes out live pretty much. So this is extremely concerning. Now, if I have to consider for you, if you do play Hellcaller, then your performance is by no means bad. I'm gonna say it's probably around impressive or a good choice, because even though you got severely nerfed, I would say like you got a quite big hit there. I would say you are definitely performing above average, if anything, during off and on cooldowns. Single target now requires Chaos Bolting instead of Rain of Fire. We already know that has been changed for quite a bit. But I would never call it bad in any case. Desperate like this. Desperate like this, you know. What else can I say about Destro? Lock utility, the same as Demo pretty much. Nothing different there. It's fine for Mythic Plus. You don't have a unique buff, but again, damage is your biggest factor why you should be in a good choice, impressive, or best candidate. And that's about it for them, you know. Yeah, the same thing, by the way, about Demonology Lock for the people that are still curious. Demonology Lock currently is unplayable. Diabolist is bugged out. It does not work with your demons. It does not do any damage. There is no unique interaction. And we don't know how long will it take until they fix it. Until they figure out the fix, I do believe they're going to be put in a bugged / need a hotfix. Now, if you don't want to play Diabolist, which I don't know for what reason you might don't want to play Diabolist, then I would say your performance should be probably close to Destro, around a good choice or impressive so far. You know, but again, I would say if Diabolist work for both of the lock specs, I'm gonna be pretty confident, and I'm gonna guess here it's gonna be around impressive performance. Alright, that's pretty much about that, chat. Let's switch on and talk about OK tier. OK Ramos tier, if you guys don't know already, this is a common meme here. Every time I say OK, apparently I sound like Ramos. That's why now it's gonna be Ramos OK. That is the code meme. Okay, so speaking about OK tier, I'm gonna begin with the healers first and tanks, because again, majority of you here are DPS players, so I just want to make sure that I cover first then. Okay, now speaking about OK, Disc Priest comes first in mind. Disc Priest did not get any changes this week. Why is that the case? No clue. Their current output still needs more love. They still need to get more love in Mythic Plus. In raiding, they are going to be better than Mythic Plus, but again, this is talking about Mythic Plus right now exclusively. We don't care about anything else. No PvP, no raiding. It's specifically about Mythic Plus performance-wise. They need more love. They need more changes for them to get higher and higher. Currently, that is the biggest issue. Output. Killing output needs some love. Now, when it comes down to an actual performance, then I would say, like for example, utility-wise, etc., they're by no means bad. Again, remember, Double Pain Suppression, Mind Suit, PI, which is kind of valuable for any player pretty much to have, and what else? Stamina buff, for example, Barrier for the whole group. So they definitely have a toolkit to like help you in certain, you know, aspects of the game. But overall, I would say if they were to get better output, then they're going to climb much higher. For now, they are going in an OK tier, which means by no means you're bad enough to complete a, you know, your weekly key. You're going to be still fine there. BM Hunter is probably likely to be a much better choice for raiding than it is for Mythic Plus. Undeniably, their single target is still going to be fantastic. Again, on-demand burst, depending if you want to play the 2-minute cooldown or not, could be amazing, or it could be actually pretty bad. I guess it depends on the build you're playing. Sustained damage is one of the lowest so far. I really don't like how it plays out. Perhaps a further changes on behalf of BM Hunter would bring me more in line with the rest of the specs. But again, during burst, you can't complain. By no means you're bad. Once again, a better rating spec than it is for Mythic Plus, just like for example Disc. What could they do to balance it out? Perhaps nerfing single target and just buffing the AoE could bring them more in line with the rest of the specialization. But for now speaking, I would say OK tier is gonna be quite okay for you, you know. Again, some people in the YouTube asking about how could BM Hunter be bad in like utility. I was just gonna rephrase this and say BM utility is by no means bad, but think about it. You don't provide any buffs to the group, which is, you know, very important right now. You do have Hunter's Mark, but that Hunter's Mark is not as valuable in Mythic Plus as it is in Raiding. Now I have an AoE stop, which is actually quite good. The 1 minute AoE stop. You have a 2 single target stops, the stun, scatter shot, binding shot. You can have a removal of enrage effects. What else do we have? Mine. So the MD, which is the misdirect of BM Hunter, is pretty much, you know, garbage, because most of your damage comes from pets anyway. So yeah, I guess Bloodlust is part of it, but many classes can Bloodlust. It's not really unique, you know. Devastation, here we go. Devastation Evoker is the only spec left to be in OK tier, and I'm gonna explain why, in my opinion, Devastation Evoker goes here. Devastation Evoker itself, although it has great burst on demand damage, especially during cooldowns, their sustained damage is one of the lowest. I don't like how low sustained it have, and I feel like a buff to single target, buff to sustained damage could make them much better. But by no means you're bad. I feel like if you can utilize your offensive cooldowns, you can do actually great numbers. If you can play around cooldowns, pull huge around that, they could be pretty fine. But sustained damage, not impressed. And most importantly, single target needs more love. Utility wise, they're quite good. Durability wise, several ways to help yourself survive. Do you find there? Another issue I'm having is the limited range for a caster, 25 yards, still an issue. And last but not least, Augmentation Evoker currently is considered one of the best specializations in Mythic Plus. Hence why I would say sharing unique utility with your Death Evoker might not be the most appropriate thing. Because if the Oak remains on the top, then you're gonna pretty much share, the same utility. So yeah, like the value might go a little bit lower. Holy Priest gets to a good choice. They were already in a good choice, but I feel like Holy Priest got some buffs this week, healing buffs mostly, which is obviously welcoming because more healing, more output than that, safe for the group. Generally speaking, one of the easiest healers to play with, which means you have a low barrier to entry, which means it might be more welcoming to new players. Could be picked up more often as well. By no means you're bad. I think both damage profile and HPS profile is great. It's simple. It's a reactive healer, which means you can have the capabilities to heal any kind of scenarios, whether, for example, your team accidentally took a bajillion damage, you have a time to react, get to be topped up, go forward. So defensive wise, I would say you do definitely struggle in some cases, but again, if I gotta put you in a perspective, utility wise you're getting there. PI, I mean, pretty much similar to Disc Priest, except that you don't have pain suppression and barrier. Everything else pretty much is the same. Mob control, just like Disc Priest, is quite lackluster, except for the AoE Fear and Justice ST stop. Again, AoE Fear, it cannot interrupt every single mob type, but it is a AoE stop which could be, used in a lot of cases. So they're the only healers right now that don't have a kick, and I'm gonna tell you, if you haven't played the new dungeons, there's a lot of heavy caster dungeons that require a good mob control. A good mob control that you don't have as a Disc and Holy Priest, which means this will turn problematic for them by a mile. Like compared, for example, to a Shaman, to a Paladin, you have nothing else except AoE Fear, and that's it. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed to say the least about this. I don't even know why they're not giving them a kick at this point. Perhaps they think it's gonna be too OP for raiding, or sorry, for like PvP. I have no clue, chat. No clue. Until then, hoping that they will get some kicks in following expansion off season. I don't care. Balance Druid. Balance Druid gets in a good choice for a few reasons. And I'll tell you why. First thing first, we already agreed and established that Balance Druid, they do great AoE damage in the higher keys. Higher the key goes, better you're gonna become because the mobs live long enough for you to stack your Starfoes. Okay? We already established this, everybody knows that. But for the sake of the tier list, we talk about any key level. Mid, low, high keys. And mid and low level keys, Balance Druid is terrible. You don't have time to ramp up, mobs die way too quick. Your single target is a lackluster. It is quite behind most of the specs. So we would love to see here single target adjustments across anything else. More single target for balance. That will help them with not only the rate, but also in Mythic Plus. That is the biggest issue. I've heard it all about, for example, you know, balance have bad defensives, yada yada yada. I don't argue this. I'm not gonna say balance has the best defenses, but again, Barskin got buffed recently. Well, I guess in the first couple of rounds of beta. You have a bear as well. Maybe something else they should be needing as well on top of it. But for now speaking, yeah, I mean that's an area where I wouldn't mind get some more love, you know, like getting, for example, an extra defensive on top of the Barskin could be quite good, I would say. Hunter is next in line. Okay, why is that? Again, a lot of people would consider this kind of a troll pick, but I'm going to explain why do I think is going to be a good choice. We have already established, just like BM Hunter, just like Boomkin, that their AoE is fantastic. Great burst, good sustain, both equally good for high, low, mid-level keys. We already established this. Yes, that is the case. However, think about the single target. Single target on MM right now with a Mythic Plus build is horrendously bad. What could they do to make it better? Honestly, except from buffing like aim shot, precise shots, or rapid fire and diminishing the trick shot damage, I don't see any other way for you to get better there, unfortunately. Or play talents that do better on single target and sacrifice a little bit more AoE for that shit. I would say that is the biggest issue so far for Hunter. They got better defensively, that is the case. They have better utility, just like any Hunter spec. Of course, single target is an issue. Again, this does not apply for raid. If you do play raid talents, your single target is better than Mythic Plus by a mile. But right now, we're talking Mythic Plus exclusively. So, think about that next time. Retribution Paladin. Now, Retribution Paladin, just like MM and just like Balance Druid, but in my opinion better, does fantastic AoE damage. Undeniably they do. Short cooldowns every 30 seconds, major cooldowns every 1 minute, you bang the AoE. You are tanky, you have good utility, immunity, good mob control. Single target is a big issue for Red. A massive issue, which I don't know why they have not decided to fix it. It's still an issue. But if I have to consider only the AoE, you're probably gonna be impressive for sure. If I only have to consider the AoE, you're probably around impressive. But again, I'm trying to think about single target too. Single target right now is not really an asset you have, so until that is fixed, I'm gonna put you at the best performing choices for a good choice. And if that gets to be fixed, then I'm gonna move you up to impressive. So yeah, Retribution ST is really bad. Yeah, that is the only issue I'm having with Retribution Paladin. That is the only thing. So Protection Paladin, Protection Warrior, and Brewmaster right now are in an impressive tier. And I'm gonna tell you why they're in an impressive tier. Where is the Brew? There we go. So, Blizzard have buffed all the tanks damage by a shit ton several weeks ago. Generally speaking, I feel like their idea here is to make sure that tanks are doing more damage, to actually make sure that they have more people to actually play tanks. That's what I think, right? Because there's no other reason for them to buff tanks to be actually doing that much damage. I'll give you an example, right? Like, Prot warriors are doing a shit ton of damage in AoE. They're actually trying to make Protection Warrior as like 4 DPS. Like, I've seen some clips of like Protection Warrior doing like 4 million, 5 million burst damage, 6 million. If they were to buff only aggro, they could just buff aggro. They've done it before, by the way. They could make the aggro spells of each of the tanks just do more threat. They could buff the threat. The thing is, they just buff damage. Protection Paladin biggest asset right now is utility and damage. They're squishy. They die often, they're squishy, but they do a shit ton of damage, have good mob control, and have good utility. Right? Same thing with Brew. Brew has become most definitely better to play since last expansion. They have way. They've come a long way since like Dragonflight. Better magical mitigation, tankier, good damage profile, less button bloat, good mob control. So overall, I can't really complain about that, you know. Same thing with Protection Warrior. Protection Warrior received 34% auto buff on damage. Damage right now is their primary kind of like asset. Yes, they might need more attention from healers, of course. And yes, utility is the lowest across all tanks, but you cannot underestimate the damage plus durability on that behalf. So yeah, I would say all of those together should be impressive. I don't think there's a bad tank right now. Most genuinely, I don't believe there is a bad tank choice currently. No shot. Given the fact how buff they got, I don't think there's a tank that is like dog shit. There might be tank that is like performing less than others, yes, but no tank is dog shit. No, I don't think even Paladin. No way. I don't think a single tank is dog shit. Like, some tanks play worse and are worse than others, yes, but there is no tank that is dog shit. Like, for example, Mage, right? So Mage itself is pretty bad, and we already know that, like Fire Mage, for example. But tanks wise, nah, I don't think so. I don't think there's tank that is bad. To be fair with you, Yoda was doing 14 keys as a Protection Paladin. Yeah, you guys are not getting it. Like, Protection Paladin used to be really bad several weeks ago. They buffed it since then, you know. So by no means that I'm saying Protection Paladin is meta or insane. What I'm saying is Protection Paladin is not a bad choice. It is not the best choice, but it's not a bad choice. So, which means any tank right now is capable to do your average key levels without any problem. Yes, there are tanks better than others, but the general damage buffs to all tanks made them decent. All of them. Like, haven't you guys seen Vengeance DH doing like 8 million burst? Dude, open a plus 13 Necrotic Wake and check out the first pool. Several DH players, if not most of them right now, are doing like crazy numbers, like 12, 13 million bursts. Okay, that's insane, but like 9 million bursts. It's just crazy. They end up doing overall damage equal to pretty much like a 4 DPS. Like, most of the time they would be sitting on above 1 million overall. Like 1.2, 1.3 million overall. It's just crazy, right? So P Evoker goes here. Hold on. Let me explain. Why do I believe P Evoker goes here. I've heard some hype around them. I've seen it. Yes, they do great damage. Yes, they do great HPS. But hear me out, okay? To make it work as P Evoker, you need to have a team that understands how to play around P Evoker. It is extremely bad in pucks, and I'm talking about extremely bad when half of the people actually have no clue that for the Evoker to actually do great HPS, you need targets to be close together and not be spread around the whole map. I'll give you an example. Hold on. I'll give you an example here. I'm gonna give you an example. In a perfect world, if your targets are stacked all the time, you are best candidate. You are right here for sure. No deniable thing. I agree. Your damage output and healing output is insane, right? But if I have to consider full puck, casual keys, majority of the people are gonna be like this. If this is Mythic Plus, you're gonna have tank, melee. You're gonna have, let's say, warrior together with tank, and then you're gonna have mage standing in Africa, lock standing behind it, and you as a evoker. What do you do? At this point, what do you do? Because you cannot heal these guys and these guys at the same time efficiently. You can tell them, yo, get to melee, but they're not gonna do it all the time. So what do you do at this point? You need to position the way that you can heal both, but you can't. You can't, right? So, genuinely speaking, the way that you actually do the healing is problematic for me in a complete puck. I agree. Pre-mating is a different word. Yes, in a pre-mate, you're gonna be right here. Agree. But in a full puck, most definitely you are going to be struggling. Because people do not know how to play around P Evoker. Now again, I have heard the argument, but because augmentation is so good, preservation might not be played. Again, sure, it's a good argument. Yes, that could be the case, but I would say the bigger issue right now is that is the bigger issue. There's one solution. The solution here would be if you're playing with a full melee squad. If you're a full melee squad, like for example, 4 people in melee, then for you it's fine. Then it's like easy clap, you can just get to heal them, no problem. But majority of the time, it's gonna be mixed. It's gonna be either between hybrid, which means several ranges, several melees, or full ranges or full melee, right? So full range, problem. Full melee, okay. Hybrid, big problem. The range itself, it shouldn't be an issue if you can work around it, but obviously it's not optimal. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just kind of hard to. It's just hard, It just get good. Yeah, I mean, it's not a look. It is not really, by the way, it's not easy to play P Evoker. Okay, put it this way. It's just not easy. Just because of this, like, you have to have a knowledge, right? So yeah, that is my take about P Evoker. I think overall, by no means you're bad, but I don't think you're gonna make it alive out of this if your party is completely unaware how you work. Hence why I believe that Mistweaver is gonna be next in line after this, immediately after this, because first of all, it's much easier to heal with Mistweaver compared to P Evoker. I guess slightly easier. You don't require, for example, people to be stacked together or like to be slightly spread. Doesn't matter. You're still gonna be fine in that regard. Good damage profile, good HPS as well, no problem. Yes, you're a melee healer. Sometimes you might wanna pay more attention because sidestepping abilities, you're in melee, prontos, etc. But genuinely speaking, you are much safer to heal compared to Evoker. Although Evoker can have better heals than you, better damage, if they were to be more experienced / understand how they play around it. Like I guess around the team. One issue I'm having with Mistweaver is you don't have a reliable external cooldown for your party. Like Cocoon itself it's just an absorb. It is not a DR. I value DRs a lot more than absorbs. It's still fine for a DPS, but Cocoon on tanks is just a joke at this point. You need something else to help them. Sadly, outside of the just like keeping them alive with like healing, there's nothing else. Like for example, I value the bark on a druid. I value the pain suppression on a priest, paladin sack. I value that more than the cocoon itself. That's what I believe. And last but not least, chat, there is a healer that got demoted last week. Okay. Now, again, this could be a completely cooked take, but I believe after this week nerfs to Holy Paladin now go from best candidate to impressive. To impressive. Still the best impressive choice. Holy Paladin received a rather big hammer this week. Both HPS and DPS has been hit quite a bit. On and off cooldowns. I do believe that was due to their performance in raiding, likely to be connected to that. They will keep the same toolkit pretty much, utility-wise, mob control unchanged in that regard, but output much lower than last week, both on cooldowns and off cooldowns. Will that be the fight on tuning? We don't know, but after those nerfs, I believe now both Druid and Shaman should be better than you. Again, I believe the whole toolkit itself, like for example the mob control, the immunity, the aura mastery, for example, the 20% DR to the whole team, right? The 50% perma DR, the sack, lay on hands, and bobs, etc. Like all of this toolkit is impressive, yes, and it still might be played on a high keys, but I do believe right now Druids might have an edge over you just because you got nerfs and Druids didn't get any nerfs, right? Same thing with Shaman. Shaman got rarely like small changes that are pretty much like unchanged. So right now I would say Druid and Shaman are probably slightly ahead of you. Again, this could be a completely turbo ass take, but it's just a take that I'm willing to do. Outlaw Rogue did not get any changes. 0 changes this week. Outlaw Rogue still lacks the burst. They have good sustain, no burst, well, kind of low burst, I guess. I do believe that you're one of the few specs that actually is still capped gameplay, right? So this is one of the specs that I believe the higher the key goes, the better they're gonna become, But if I have to consider low level keys, mid level keys, and high level keys, I would say you're probably right now at the bottom of like the impressive tier. I don't think you're bad. No, I don't think you're bad at all. But I don't think you're good either. I think you're kind of like around average-ish performance-wise. You're good defensively. No issue there. Good mob control too. Kidney got nerfed for a little bit, but that's still fine. But the lack of burst is actually an important feature for Outlaws, or in general for like all mid specs, which they don't have right now. But again, the higher the key goes, the longer mobs stay alive, and genuinely speaking right now, you're gonna be able to catch up in that regard. Outlaw is dog shit. Again, you guys can have your own opinion. I have my own. I don't think Outlaw is dog shit. But again, I don't think Outlaw is also insane. I think they're around like mid right now, I would say. Maybe slightly above mid. But no, I don't think Outlaw is dog shit. I don't think so. Like anywhere between good choice here, like anywhere between good choice and in lower bottom, like lower impressive, is why I think you're right now. Play Killing Spree, you're gonna find out about what? About Outlaw Burst. I'm more than happy for you to show me how bursty you are as Outlaw, Like, if you want to log in after this tier list, I'll be playing with you and you can show me your burst with Outlaw. And I'll play whatever I like. And I can show you a real burst. Then we can talk again, If you want to, show me. I don't mind. You could be NA, EU, doesn't matter. You can still play with me on beta. So log in and show us how good of an Outlaw burst they have. Monk goes on impressive tier. Monk received quite a bit of changes on Shadow Pan. which I still believe Shadowpan, by the way, does not give them the playtime. I think you still want to play Conduit. But Spinning Crane Kick received arguably around 40-ish% buffs there, which means their output, especially burst AoE, sustain AoE, should be much better. Hence why I believe that putting monks to the impressive tier will be a great choice for them so far. Nothing else got changed. Perhaps some Giga Brain found how to play Shadowpan better than Conduit. I don't know. But so far, after I've been trying both Conduit and Shadowpan, I found out that I like Conduit better than Shadowpan. But again, if I am wrong in this, so be it. I'll be testing it next week too. If there is some kind of a Giga build on Shadowpan, then maybe I don't know about it. You know, it's possible. So yeah, I think honestly speaking here, I would love to see more changes on behalf of monks. I want to see them for once being really good. So yeah, keep on racking them. Let them get more changes. I want to be really, you know, against that, I would say. But one of the most fun specs to play so far, monks that is. It is Sub Rogue going next in line, chat. Sub Rogue going next in line on an impressive tier. Honestly, listen, Sub Rogue did not receive any changes for the past couple of weeks. Actually, that's a lie. I believe they received an 8% nerf on one of their spenders. Okay. On top of my head, I forgot the name of the spender. But I believe 2 weeks ago, they did 8% nerf on their... It wasn't black powder. Fuck, what was the auto spender? It has like a tons of bugs. I agree with that. Secret technique. Secret technique. Thank you. That is the 8% nerf on that shit. But other than that, they didn't get anything. Honestly, Sub Rogue is very decent. Like from single target to AoE to burst damage profile. Everywhere they're fantastic. I don't have an issue with that. Their damage output, however, is not up to par with the best candidates right now. Again, player diff could make a diff. Obviously, if an experienced player plays Sub Rogue and they beat everybody else, it's just player diff at this point. Okay. Good defensiveness, good mob control as well, good utility. Nobody can complain against that one. This spec also can become higher in the rankings if you play with like a full melee squad, because again you get more buffs there. But overall, I can't really say anything bad about it. I think it's gonna go all like this can go like based on the bugs you're having, it can go up and down. Like there's a lot of bugs surrounding Sub Rogue still, which we're hoping to get really you know, more like fixes on that regard before the expansion comes out, or at least before season comes out, you know. That's about it. Funnel is actually a good thing, you know. Obviously, if you guys don't know what funnel is pretty much using the resources in multiple target scenario to do more prio damage or ST. That is pretty much funnel. Sure. But then again, why would you play Sub Rogue if Asa is insane, right? It just makes no sense. Like, why would you play Sub if Asa is just better? Same thing can be said about, for example, Fire. Why would you play Fire if Arcane is better? Right? There's just no point. Survival Hunter did get absolutely zero changes this week. Nothing. Once again, great burst AoE damage, great sustain damage, better single target, better defensiveness, an AoE stop right now, good mob control because of it, because double single target stops, one AoE stop as well. So genuinely speaking, not a bad choice at all. What could make survival get higher in rankings? More damage. Next in line, Enhanced Shaman. Enhanced Shamans didn't get jack shit this week, by the way. Jack shit. Enhanced Shamans, people love to doom. People saying Enhanced is bad, Enhanced is dead. Quite frankly, the opposite. I still believe Enhanced Shaman is absolutely fine. Yes, They are not as good as they used to be, but they are not by any means bad. Great sustain AoE damage, good single target too, not insane, just good, you know. Better defensiveness, better utility right now. So over the board, I would say you're not a bad pickup, but you're not insane either. You know, you used to be though, but unfortunately you got nerfed 2 or 3 times in a row, I would say. So yeah, right now you're more around impressive tier, I would say, than anything else. But given the fact that it's still early into the beta, I guess early into the season, because we don't have a season yet, then I wouldn't be surprised if they get more changes though, like more positive changes on behalf of Enhance. So yeah, I do believe that you're a good pickup though. I don't think you're bad at all, but some people like to say you're bad, which I think is insane. Some people here can tell me with a straight face that Enhance is bad. I don't think, guys, you understand that then. Like, by no means I would say Enhance is bad ever in this stage right now. But again, I'm not saying that Enhance is insane. I'm just saying that it's not bad. You know, it's getting there. Unholy DK chat goes next in line. Honestly, Unholy DK, although it did not get any changes, I still believe you are a great choice. Specifically for AoE, it's fantastic. Like burst AoE, sustain AoE, fantastic. ST with a Mythic Plus build could be an issue, but remember, raid build ST on Unholy is quite good. Good mob control, very tanky as well. You don't have any unique party utility, like a buff for example, but again, AMZ could help your team. AMS, if you play the talent, can help your team. Grips, single target turn, lightning sleet, pet stop as well. So yeah, overall I would say you're an impressive pickup for any team, but unfortunately your sibling spec right now is a lot better, which means you might not see much playtime following through the expansion. But again, I think after this is Iron's Warrior. Iron's Warrior, no changes so far, honestly. I do believe their biggest asset right now is the damage profile. Good burst damage, good sustain damage, good single target too. Utility is also an issue. Like, there comes a point where this will be something that will bite you again on the booty. Battle shot could be actually immensely valuable with a team that focuses on physical damage. Like, you could make comps around Warrior, like for example Warrior X Evoker Rogue, Warrior Evoker Monk. Like, you could play around Warrior with it with your shout. So yeah, overall I wouldn't say a bad pickup. I think damage profile is your biggest strength so far. And last but not least, the only spec left to be in an impressive tier so far, in my opinion, is going to be... Actually, hold on, there are 2 more specs here. First is Pharaoh. Once again, Pharaoh did not get any changes this week. Quite the opposite. A lot of people here would sleep on Pharaoh and be like, oh, Pharaoh is bad, yada yada yada. Like, Pharaoh damage profile has getting better and better every single week, especially on your sustained damage. It's looking pretty crisp. Single target might not be the best here, but generally speaking, Pharaoh is in a commanding position to be much better than a balanced raid. You know, for now speaking. Things could change though. What else I could say about Pharaoh? Several ways to live his packs. Barskin defensive, Survival Instinct defensive. Bear can also be considered a defensive. Decent mob control. Sometimes the rotation feels a little bit slower. You could start on energy, but I believe that's something that will get better within the patches going through, I would say, because of the better secondary stats. Mark of the Wild is incredibly valuable utility that could be considered as the go-to. One of the best in the game right now. If you don't have Guardian or Resto Druid, Pharaoh could be a good representation there. But by no means I would say Pharaoh is bad at all. But again, people are underestimating Pharaoh, because Pharaoh is something that you don't really play a lot. So most people have no idea how good Pharaoh could be in Mythic Plus, or actually how valuable it could be. And again, remember, Pharaoh has gotten 2 massive buffs in a row. Although they got nothing this week, I still think they're a good choice. And the only specialization left to be put here is going to be Havoc DH. Honestly, Havoc DH, I feel like that is the biggest, that is one of the mistakes I did. I think last week we undervalued Havoc DH a little bit, just because at least I played mostly Fail's card, which right now has turned to be a mistake. I feel like Aldraki was probably the better choice everywhere. I still believe Havoc DH has a lot of issues rotation-wise. Like, I absolutely hate playing Havoc DH right now. Probably one of the least fun specs to play, in my opinion. But performance-wise, is something that, quite honestly, has been improving within the weeks. Gotten better, especially burst damage, both for ST and AoE is insane. Your single target also getting better, you know. Utility-wise, unchanged since last expansion. Same. Chaos Brand, extremely valuable in a full caster comp if you play around it, if you don't have Vengeance DH. Defensives, I mean, nothing changed here. Again, good self-sustain, blur every 1 minute, and Netherwoe, which could be considered an immunity. Other than that, a good choice. But if Vengeance gets to be played more often, then you might not see as much playtime. Overall, you've gotten better, you've climbed the rankings. Goes to impressive. Guardian, Blood DK, go to the best candidates again. Blood DK, pretty much no changes since last week. Why do I think Blood DK currently is one of the best candidates for tanks? It's simple. Incredible self-sustain, which pretty much they're self-reliant when it comes down to pugging or even in pre-made grouping. Good damage profile, quite durable tank, good mob control. Everything you need to be considered a top pick right now. That's about it. Again, if I consider a full caster meta, yes, you don't really bring any buffs to the team, nothing else, but I believe you're gonna be still valuable asset to any group comp. The good thing is you can play with anything. You can play with a full melee squad or full range squad, unlike, for example, Vengeance. Vengeance is something that plays with a full caster comp because of the Chaos Brand. Guardian, same shit. Guardian, on the contrary to Blood DK, has a party buff, which means it is slightly more valuable in a full pre-made comp because of it. Mark of the Wild, historically known as one of the best utilities, I guess one of the best party buffs right now for Mythic Plus, because of the 3% verse, giving the entire team pretty much more damage and also be more tanky. Right, so other than this, what do you think about Guardian? Guardian damage profile is incredibly strong, one of the strongest assets. Yes, they're quite boring to play sometimes. It feels like there's a lot of dead talents right now on Guardians, but if I exclude that thing, pure performance right now has gotten better. Like, durability wise, not an issue. Feel like the self-sustain could be something that perhaps could get more love there, but other than that, great durability, great damage, nice party buff. Mob control, not the strongest, that is true, but you know, it's getting there. I do believe Vengeance right now is better than you. Not because it's tanky or anything like this, but because Vengeance right now has an incredibly strong toolkit to help kind of like a glue down the meta, which right now meta consists of like mostly casters. So hence why I believe Vengeance DH is one step ahead because of just purely damage. Purely numbers right now, Vengeance does incredible amount of damage without considering Chaos Brand. If I consider Chaos Brand as well on top of all of this, then I would say that it's probably an extra 300-400 million on top, you know. So this is the only reason why do I believe Vengeance is on top. It fits the best with caster meta, and it's also it does on its own incredible damage. I don't think you are the tankiest pick right now as a Vengeance, but then again, damage profile on Vengeance is the strongest so far across any spec, and it's something that there's like a healthy amount of damage coming from your hero talents. So I wouldn't be surprised if actually they nerf the hero talents instead. So if they were to nerf the damage of Vengeance significantly, then I would say you're gonna probably get more on par with the rest of the specs. And again, comparing to Guardian, Druid, and Blood DK, Vengeance has an incredible mob control. Of course, not as good as last season because Illuminated Sigils got removed, but then again, Mass Grip, Mass Fear, Mass Silence, AoE Stun, right? So all of this combined together, I still believe it's better mob control than Guardian Druid, because in Cap Roar, that's about it, you know. ST Stun, sure. What else do you have as an AoE stop as Guardian? Nothing else. Typhoon can also be considered, I guess, but it displaces the mobs away from my team, you know. So yeah, that's about them, you know. Yeah, I've already mentioned Typhoon one. Yeah, Typhoon, Vortex, good combo, but I do believe that Vengeance has a better, more solid stop. Can't wait for the Tierlist guys to get nerfed in Heroic. Again, sound prank, maybe you're new to the channel. We update every single week the list based on the changes. So every Sunday at 2 o'clock Central European Summertime, we update this list live on stream. This is a progressive tier list, and it's gonna continue until the start of the season. After that, we shall not see many changes. After that, it's gonna slow down a lot. So we only care about before the season. After that, I will maintain it, obviously, but you are to expect a lot less changes. Vengeance also buffs all the top DPS. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, if you were a fully magical damage dealer, Vengeance DH is the best. I think both Resto Druid and Shaman are in conversation right now. All of those two together. First, about Shaman. Honestly, Shaman after the rework feels amazing. Output, damage, and healing has improved a lot. Utility gotten better defensiveness too. So one of the best choices so far for a hitter. Again, don't forget, right now they have a party buff, which is the extra mastery plus Wind Fury. But then again, there's not many top tier specs that are you know, to be considered part of the Wind Fury. I guess Asa and Frost DK are the only one. Oh, sorry. Fury Warrior 2, you know. So if Ellie gets to be in a conversation for top tier, then the value of Shaman can go a little bit lower. And so I believe Druid might pick up the pace. Again, Druid historically not known to have the highest HPS on beta right now, but damage profile is very good. Nice group wide utility, quite tanky. Got better and tankier. Got better defensively because of the Barskin buff. But then again, heavy HPS encounters, they could struggle a little bit, but overall I would say they're still one of the best choices so far. And now, if I gotta be honest with you, probably I would choose Druid over Shaman, just because I probably main Shaman. But I think Druid right now will probably solidify their placement as like top 2 for sure hitters after the Holy Paladin nerfs. Now, if Holy Paladin did not get the nerf, then I would say Holy Paladin was the best. After the Holy Paladin nerfs, then I would say Druid or Shaman right now are top tier. Now, this could go back and forth. If, for example, we see Ellie being picked up more than Resto, then Druid got to be picked up, you know. Affliction Warlock gets the cake for next in line. Let me explain. First, Affliction received Malefic Rupture buff by 20%. Second, Agony buff 40%. Third, and not least, Soul Rod buff by 60%. Their performance, both single target and AoE, has gotten better. Yes, ST was an issue last week. This week they do better. By no means that means you're competitive now on single target. That means it is getting better. Okay. Several issues I'm having with Afflock. First thing, sustained damage profile is still not up to par. Yes, during a minute cooldown, every minute to 2 minutes you do great damage. Of those seconds, I would say it's where you have an issue. Sustained damage there still needs more love. Second thing, Viotane cooldown is 30 seconds. Agony duration is 20 seconds. There's a big mismatch between Agony and Viotane, which means in a heavy AoE scenario, you have an option whether you should be reapplying the Agony without Viotane manually to each target, or spend and start casting Malefic Rupture more to bump up the Wither damage more. So unlike Shadow Priest, for example, Shadow Priest can do Shadow Crush and they can re-extend the dots because Shadow Crush aligns with the duration of the dots, but Viotane does not. So I propose solution here. The solution would be to reduce the Viotane cooldown to 20 seconds instead of 30, and make it do or make it do less damage, like less damage, but to be able to like extend the Agony, because then the Agony buff would make more sense. Then you'll be able to keep up the Agony much better, and it would never expire. Or make Agony uncapped, right? Make it like uncapped. That can also be a good choice. Until then, I would say you are still a good candidate. You are. Burst damage on Affli is absolutely fucking crazy, by the way. But it has been an issue for a long time, yet to be resolved. I would love to see that. Fury Warrior, honestly, another spec where I'm happy to see them being on a best candidate. Great sustained damage, better single target because of the Slayer buffs right now. Good burst damage too, short cooldowns, decent durability, utility part. You know, one of the least performing parts of Warrior. Utility has been an issue for a long time. They didn't really give you anything new, but everything else so far has been, you know, on point with them. I'm really looking forward to try this spec more often myself, because honestly, it's one of the most like one of the easier melees to play right now. So yeah, I would love to see them being just like that. I want to see Warriors being, for example, you know, like not bad. Shadow Priest, unfortunately for most of you, are getting back at the top. They've gotten better sustained damage, much better burst damage, better single target. Used to be one of the lowest damage across all the specs. Right now, once again, climbing the ladder. Shadow Priest Mage combo, unironically one of the best in Mythic Plus, because remember this, prior damage of Shadow Priest is a real asset. Prior while doing AoE, a massive asset. Good utility too, PI, Vampiric Embrance, Mind Suit, Stamina, and then PI with a Mage combo together, PI with a Frost Decay, PI with the Outlaw Rogue, all of this combined together is actually valuable asset for them. That even bumps the damage across. Even for example, if Asa and Fury Warrior, even if Shadow and Fury Warrior being the same damage, even if Shadow does the same as Aff right now, the fact that you have a PI just puts you ahead of this, because the PI damage would put you ahead of that. Also, stamina buff too, you know, it's still something. But then again, you mostly play Shadow Priest together with like casters. Like, you guys remember the infamous comp from last season? You get, for example, Vengeance DH, Shadow Priest, a Restoration Druid, Augmentation, and Mages, right? That is the most broken comp last season. So generally speaking, you can play the same comp and have success. It might not be the best, but if you do play the same comp here, you might find success again. Again, this is something we used to say a god comp, Exodia, whatever. But I don't think that is the best comp. I don't think so. There are better choices right now, and I'm gonna tell you who they are. Just give me a minute. There are better choices. They are better than this one. But what I was trying to say is Shadow Priest has become better. And if we don't see any other changes to them, they are gonna be one of the best candidates so far as a range spec. So Augmentation Evoker, in my opinion, is still going to remain likely the best choice for Mythic Plus, simply because it gives you more damage to the whole team. It makes the tank live things that sometimes can be impossible for them to live. It makes your healer heal more. Right now, it feels like majority of the high keys, it's not about actually doing this faster in time, but actually living. Because living will be the hardest thing, especially starting season 1 of the expansion. Again, if you do play lower level keys, then augmentation might not be the best choice for you. But if you focus on like middle to high level keys, then I think Aug Evoker will be present in every single comp you are playing right now in a game. Every single comp. Which is something that, unfortunately, for a lot of people that hate augmentation, they will still be present at the state of the way they are. Now, the only way for them to not be included in the conversation is if you make their Ebon Might not affect healers. You know? Don't make, like, not affect healers and tanks too, then they will perhaps drop a lot in rankings. But for now speaking, I still believe that they will be pretty much like a safe choice, put it this way. Frost Mage, Arcane Mage. Those specs are the only specs that I consider them to be in this category, and I'm going to explain why. First of all, I'm trying to consider each spec as a standalone. Standalone means bareback by itself, comparing against others. Now, obviously, if I do have to combine the mages with the evokers together, then obviously they go higher. They go to the top tier. But if I'm trying to rank both of them like independently, then I would say they are right now the best candidates. Speaking about Frost Mage currently has a nice burst damage oriented profile, good funnel while having this massive AoE because of the many frozen orbs you're able to dish out pretty much. Island's gameplay is extremely boring, by the way. One of the easiest specs to play as ranged. Good ST, good parry damage, good funnel, good AoE, good sustain, very good defensive, nice party bite utility, amazing mob control. Honestly, there isn't really anything that Frost cannot do. Arcane is similar to Frost. Arcane is a little bit more cooldown based, so depending on the key levels, you might want to actually swap between Arcane or Frost, and also depending on the setup, and also depending on the differences of the way you pull. Like for example, if you do pull like gigantic, let's say like 10 and 50 mobs at the same time, then Arcane might not be the best choice here. But depending on a dungeon, you might want to swap around from like Arcane to Frost. I guess it would just depend on the key level, group comp, and different dungeons, I would say. But yeah, in terms of survivability, both are pretty much close in performance. I guess Frost DK has slightly better because of the cold snap, but other than that, yeah. And again, remember chat, if I am to consider Augmentation Evoker, then this is pretty much what it goes for. All of this together combines is what the, you know, the holy trinity becomes, you know. And then they have like a 1 extra DPS that can be either SP, LA, Asa, Frost DK, even Lock, why not, you know. Alright, now for the biggest copium, top tier. Top tier are the specs I considered good on its own, even if you don't put them in a, I guess, ideal group setup. Okay. First thing in line. I know I promised you guys to sandbag. You guys asked me, please Petko, sandbag the LA. But I gotta be honest, chat. After the most recent changes to LA, I do believe right now LA is absolutely fucking crazy. It is absolutely crazy damage. In AoE though. In AoE, you do fantastic damage. Undeniably. Undeniably, cooldowns every single pack. Great sustain damage. probably one of the best. Insane burst, you know, better defensiveness, good mob control, and honestly, because you're playing Lightning build, Flash of Lightning now gives you better CDR, which means like shorter defensiveness, shorter offensive, and shorter defensive profile, which is all in all insane. The only areas where Ellie can struggle is pure single target, final damage, and spread target scenarios. 2 targets, also not really insane, but the AoE itself compensates for that kind of issue. Single target, I would say, is your biggest kind of like weakness. Other than that, then dude, you are insane. And also think about this. You have a raid buff. Okay? A raid buff, which is a valuable asset to any team. I think both are incredibly good. But on a high level keys, I will probably give it to Asa, for now speaking. On a low level keys, I'm gonna give it to Frost DK. So depending on the key levels you're playing, this can shift back and forth. But people saying Asa is bugged out, it does more damage than it has to do. We already heard this. Yes, they are bugged out. Yes, they do like 5% more damage. Once that gets to be fixed, we shall compare dicks again. Or in that case, performance again. Okay? Frost DK again. Getting back to Frost DK. Great single target. Amazing burst damage. Very, very tanky spec to have. Good mob control too. Incredible AoE damage too. Nothing to complain. There is nothing that I would like them to do better. The only thing they don't have is party buff. They don't have that. Everything else, you have it. Asarok on the other part, again, currently one of the highest DPS, or one of the highest DPS in the game. Highest DPS players. No, DPS specs. Sorry, DPS specs in the game. Better mob control because of Garrots. Garrot Silence Iron Wire is absolutely insane, especially in a heavy caster orientated dungeons. For example, Stone Vault, Grim Battle could be insane. And keep in mind, by the way, if Augmentation Evoker does its the shout that increases the duration of your CC effects, that Garrot can go even higher. It could be like 9 seconds Garrot, you know, it's like a silence. So which is kind of pretty valuable, you know. So yeah, I would say has become evident for us that Asa right now does perform really good. Well, things will only show, like time's gonna only show if that's gonna remain the way they are. But if I were an Asa Rogue right now myself, I would be very happy to be around.